Welcome back to Cord Cutting Today, where I break down some of the biggest stories happening in the world of cord cutting and give you my opinion on them. Stories like Best Buy is getting out of selling Blu-rays and DVDs. We'll tell you when and why they're doing that. Almost 4 million Americans have ditched all live TV services. Is live TV just dying? We're going to break down everything you need to know about that. And a popular kid show from when we were kids, or probably most of you were kids, are coming back. We'll tell you which one and where you can watch it, along with a whole lot more here in a quick second. First, if you want to learn more about these stories, check out the show notes down below. And make sure you stay to the end for our daily cord cutting Q&A, where I answer your questions. If you have a question for me, leave a comment down below, and let's start off with a question for Luke, so I know it's for the videos, and I may answer your question in tomorrow's video. All right, let's dive into it, starting off with, first, a favor. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up, let YouTube know you enjoy what we do here. It's a huge help. Let's start off with Best Buy. So late Thursday night, it was reported that Best Buy would reportedly ditch DVDs and Blu-rays, according to the digital bits. Now, they broke the story. Best Buy has since confirmed that in early 2024, they will stop selling DVDs and Blu-rays at all their stores. So reportedly, just about 10% of all sales are physical media. And Best Buy says it's probably no surprise to anybody here, but we are ditching these and moving to just focusing on other areas, opening up space. Now, I remember Best Buy, even just 10 years ago, having row after row after row of DVDs, CDs, Blu-rays, and more. Well, now when you go in the store, it's maybe one, if you're lucky, two or less sometimes of that. Now, we saw about a couple years ago that they started testing this. A handful of Best Buy locations stopped selling DVDs and Blu-rays. Apparently, they decided that it didn't negatively affect their sales, may have even helped by putting more popular items out on the floor. So we'll keep close on this. I've seen numbers reportedly as low as just 6 to 10% of all movie sales and more are physical media now. Increasingly, people are going to digital. Are you? When's the last time you bought a brand new, not used, not from a garage sale or bargain, but brand new, unwatched DVD or Blu-ray? Leave me a comment, let me know. All right. Speaking of that, increasingly people are moving to on-demand services. Now, for a long time, cable executives, network executives, I should say, had hoped that as people left Comcast and Spectrum and more, they would go to streaming services like YouTube TV and more. Well, according to research from Leachman Research Group, that's just not happening. In the first half of 2024, almost 4 million Americans, 3.9 million Americans, ditched live TV, cable, and streaming and went on demand only. Or maybe an antenna, but I think that's a pretty small number according to our own studies. Increasingly, people are just saying, hey, if I don't care about sports, all I want is Disney Plus, Hulu, all those kind of services. That's all I can get. And when you can get, for example, 4 of the most popular on-demand services for just $30.96 a month, you can see why looking at a $70-some bill for a streaming service or $100 and some for cable TV may not be what you want to do. For example, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, Max, and Netflix, getting the ad-supported plans will just cost you $30.96. And honestly, there's probably so much content. If you try to watch it all, you probably couldn't, to be honest, with all the content every month. And they add new content regularly. So I want to ask people here. I often hear cord cutters, in my experience, start with a live TV service as a baby step into cord cutting. And for a lot of them, they quickly realize they don't even use that. And they quickly dump that and move on to on-demand services. Was that you? Did you do that? Or have you gone purely on demand, maybe with an antenna, but no paid live TV service like YouTube, Hulu, Plus Live TV, etc.? Leave me a comment, let me know. All right, Doug, really popular show, is coming back. According to the creator, he has been commissioned by Disney Plus to start working on a Doug revival series where Doug is older, more our age. Now, the catch here is this has been ordered to start working on. A lot of shows get that kind of order, start working on this, but it doesn't necessarily turn into a show order. Maybe they get a pilot, maybe they get some ideas, the network looks at it and decides, no, never mind, we're not going to do this. But it has been reported that Disney Plus is working on it and has gone as far as get the original creator back on board to look at what a revival would look like. All right, great news for cord cutters. A federal judge on Friday issued an order saying that the city of East St. Louis in Illinois cannot tax Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, etc. as cable TV providers. Now, the city of East St. Louis wanted to put a franchise tax. This is a tax that's applied to cable companies for the right for them to use the city's easements. This is for the cable companies to run cables everywhere. The judge said, no, streaming services like Netflix are not cable companies. They don't come in, they don't lay cable down. And just because they're using the internet does not make them a cable service here with it. And they were very clear on that, hey, this does not apply. Now, this is great news. It sets a precedent for other cases like this as other cities try to turn them into cable companies. Now, it does not mean that this city's East St. Louis can't tax them. Other cities have. But the way they were trying to do it, trying to declare these as cable TV companies, didn't work. And the judge basically said, hey, no, they're not coming into your city. They're not having a physical presence there. They're not running wires through your city. You can't tax them like Comcast or Spectrum, who is physically running wires through your city, requiring access to easements, city poles, and more. That's a very different situation with that. So if you want to read the full thing, check it out. Link in the show notes down below. All right, we reported about a week and a half ago now that Bally Sports was dropping the last professional team on the Arizona version of Bally Sports, and that was a lead up to them shutting down the channel. Well, on Friday they did it. They posted a very short message on social media, on X, formerly Twitter, that just says, Bally Sports Arizona is no longer providing coverage of your favorite local teams. We sincerely thank you for your loyal viewership over the years. And that's it. The network is done. They shut it down. It reduces the cost of Bally Sports and allows them to now focus on other areas. Now, this is exactly what DirecTV has been complaining about, is they're paying for these networks still under the old contract, but they're not being operated. The teams that played on these are no longer airing on Bally Sports. And the channel itself is now even shut down. And Bally Sports is basically saying, we demand you cut, or DirecTV is saying to Bally Sports that, hey, we're overpaying you now. We're paying you for stuff you're not offering. We want you to shut that down. We'll see how that plays out. But for now, first network shut down. Will more shut down? Possibly. We'll have to wait and see. But Bally Sports Arizona is now a victim of cord cutting. All right, Comcast and Disney have failed to come to a deal for the price of Hulu. Now, about a month and a half ago from when I'm recording this, Comcast and Disney agreed to move up the negotiations for Hulu, and in that deal, they agreed to a kind of a backup plan. If they failed to strike a deal and agree upon a price for Hulu, that Comcast and Disney would both hire outside investment firms to evaluate the value of Hulu to help determine the sale price. If that price is more than 10% apart, from the two companies, let's say one comes in at X amount and one comes in at Y amount, so, and they're 10% apart, well then, a third party would be hired by those two banks to come up with a price. Well, it appears that Comcast and Disney have failed to come to a deal on Hulu, and they've initiated the backup plan. According to a report from CNBC, Comcast has hired Morgan Stanley and Disney has hired JP Morgan Chase to come up with a price. Again, if those two fail to come to a price that's within 10% of each other, those two will hire a third investment bank. That third investment bank will get the final say on what the price of Hulu should be. We could know here by the end of this year what the exact price of Hulu is and have a sale of Hulu early in 2024 from the Comcast remaining 30% roughly being sold to Disney, giving Disney full control. We'll see what happens with it, but still unable to reach a deal. They've kicked off the emergency backup plan. We'll see how it all works out. All right, Comcast, speaking of which, will launch a next-gen upgraded internet service next year with higher download and upload speeds. This is DOCSIS 4.0. Feels like we just got to 3.0, but this is a new internet standard. This new internet standard allows them to put more speed, more bandwidth down the same, we'll call them tubes. If you remember, anybody remember back when the old internet's a bunch of tubes? But the same lines that are running fiber now will be able to offer faster speeds to these customers. Comcast plans to offer plans up to 2 gigabits with a DOCSIS 4 network currently, and the 4.0 can offer speeds up to 10 gigabytes download and 6 gigabytes up. Pretty impressive speed there. Don't know pricing, don't know exactly when this will come out, but for most people, if you're just a home person watching Netflix, you don't need that speed. Now, if you're a business, that's awesome. If you do a lot of video streaming, 6 gigs up, it's pretty impressive. If you're like me, you do this, you're a Twitch streamer, could take advantage. I think for most people, if you're just surfing the web, you're watching Netflix, Hulu, YouTube TV, and more, probably not worth it. Speaking of Comcast and the 10 gigs, They've been told by an advertising commission they need to stop using the 10G internet service to describe their service. It says it's confusing people to think it's something that it's not, or that they offer 10 gigs in all areas. But Comcast has been told to stop doing that. We'll see if they agree to that. It's a non-binding ruling, but we'll see if they agree to make changes to their advertising. All right, question of the day. Now, every cord cutting Q&A now, at the end of the videos, I will answer 1 or 2 questions depending on what they are. If you have a question, leave me a comment here on this video and start with question for Luke and put your question there. If you need to leave 2 comments, one about this video and one of the question, do that. That way I know which one's a question for me. But Carolyn, I hope I said that right, asked that cut the cord and wants to watch the locals on local content live, but doesn't want to pay for it. Now, and I'm being asked, why is it that what's free with an antenna is paid for via streaming? Well, it's very simple. Most locals get majority of their money from streaming and cable TV deals. Those affiliate fees and more that go to them is the #1 way that your local ABC, NBC, Fox gets money. So they rely on that money from Comcast, they rely on that money from YouTube TV and more. If they give it for free, Comcast and streaming online, Comcast and YouTube TV is going to stop paying them. They're just going to say, hey, go use the streaming app of it for free. Now, the vast majority of Americans, 90+%, and I do know that that 10% means there's a lot of people who can't get all their locals, but the vast majority can get all their locals, and they can do it for free with an antenna once you buy the antenna. So you may want to check to see if you get an antenna. But unfortunately, right now, because they rely heavily on YouTube TV, Hulu Plus Live TV, and more, giving them their locals included, bundled with that for revenue for them to make money, they're not going to give it to you for free. Now, you can go, for example, Paramount Plus includes CBS with that. Local news streams free online through a whole host of services from Tubi to Local Now to News On and more, offering local news free. But I would check an antenna. Unfortunately, if you live in an area where that doesn't work and you're looking for the primetime programming and the live sports and more, and not just your local news, you may have to get a service like YouTube TV and more to do that. Again, though, if all you want is a show, for example, if there's an ABC show like Dancing with the Stars you really like, and you don't care about necessarily watching it live and you're fine watching it the next day, you can get like Hulu and watch it the next day. Peacock, Paramount Plus, more are options to do that. You can also just go buy a season of a show. If there's a particular drama, NCIS or whatever it may be, that you want to watch, maybe go on Amazon, buy a season pass. If you're just looking for one show, I really wouldn't subscribe to like Paramount Plus for one show. I'll just buy a season pass of it there. Now you get that the next day. I think for a majority of people, they're fine with that. If you really want it live, check out an antenna for it to be free, or a live TV service, unfortunately, like YouTube TV, for it to be paid. Well, that's it for today. I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll be back tomorrow with another video.